Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crazy Ladies Podcast. I'm Mistress Magi, and this is
Mr. Magi.
My husband. We have a dog, we have a cat, we have kids, so expect to hear noise. Just the way that it is.
Yeah.
Today's topic is going to be... Today's topic is going to be depression, anxiety, and mental health disorders, really. Because I'm the queen of them all.
Well, mostly anxiety and depression.
Some PTSD thrown in there, you know.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm crazy, hence the title.
Crazy lady talks. Yeah. I know. Stop talking to yourself. They get it already.
I don't think people actually do.
Well, that's the point. That's why we're here. Haha, it's full circle. Yeah, no, I know. I'm retarded.
You're not retarded.
I shouldn't use that term.
So, this one is one that's really deep with me because I've had mental illness almost my whole life. I've been suicidal, even recently, but I have a better life now and it still affects me. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, which is a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough on me being the other half of that coin.
He's got to pull me down.
Yeah. To where I haven't had the things that she has had happen. All in all, I've had a okay childhood, pretty normal, pretty
standard.
You know, well adjusted and carrying on.
And then you met me.
Yeah.
And you stayed with me.
I know, I'm crazy.
So it's you. It's not crazy lady. It's crazy man.
Yeah, well, you know.
So I got mine. Mine's more environmental than chemical imbalance. I've been programmed to be this way. Think of it like a computer program, really. You start off with an empty slate, and then the things which you learned growing up is what makes you who you are. And mine wasn't that great. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, because in order to really understand everything, you gotta know who I am and why it is that I call myself crazy. What? Stop poking me.
You're doing that thing.
The giggly or...
The giggly and putting yourself down.
I know, but I put myself down. Nobody else can put me down. So it's a defense mechanism. But it sucks. So I grew up in a really bad household and a really bad school system. I was bullied at school, come home, get mentally, physically, and emotionally abused. I've been handcuffed to a closet. I've been held up by my throat. I have been told I'd be beaten within an inch of my life if I went to anybody and told them. Or if I asked for anything, which is a big thing. I now can't ask people for things, and I'm very shy if they offer it.
Let me elaborate a little more on this. What she's talking about is most of us, and I know myself specifically, whenever you go to someone's house, like a friend, or you know, you'd go with your parents to their friend's house, and they say, play around, go have fun.
Make yourself at home.
Make yourself at home, you know. Both my parents told me, if you want something, you have to ask for it, because nobody's going to get it for you. And the worst that they're going to say is no. So, and with her, we're not talking about like having a big piece of cake or something. Nothing like that. Like something simple.
A glass of water.
Yeah, it's a glass of water. And she can't even ask anybody for that. Like that. And just destroys her.
I get terrified, I start shaking, and get a little cryish. It's not fun.
No, and it puts me in an awkward spot because sometimes we'd be at someone's house, I'd be busy doing something, and then I get this little tap on the shoulder and this little whisper in my ear, hey, can you ask for some water? You know, and it's like, oh, okay, fine. So I got to stop what I'm doing, ask, and then I go get it. So luckily, though, there is hope. With some people that we've been associating with lately, and
are very dear to us.
Yeah, so that eases the anxiety, and she's able to kind of move past that after. And I shit you not, we've been together for 18 years, and she still struggles with that.
I know I'm in a safe zone, but at the same time, I'm still terrified of, being hurt if I ask or inconveniencing people. I grew up thinking that I was a huge inconvenience and nobody really wanted anything to do with me. And that's extremely tough to deal with when you're a kid even. But even more so when you're an adult who has dealt with it her whole life. Because now you're afraid of everything. I'm afraid of people hating me. I'm afraid of inconveniencing my midwife while I'm in labor.
Yeah, that's fun.
When your midwife starts asking your husband, hey, like, is she always like this? You know that there's maybe something which you need to work on.
And I just turn to her and I go, yes, she is.
I know I have my issues. I am working towards getting past them, but not everybody has that ability. Sometimes people are afraid. It took me forever to get any help. It took me visualizing myself harming my kids to actually go get help, because I would do anything before I'd harm them, even get them out of my care if I was afraid of that. My kids are my life. I want to give them the childhood that I never had. I want to make sure that they're safer than I was and they have more than I have. And I don't mean physically, like with materialistic things. I mean comfort and love and acceptance and everything that I never had. They're not an inconvenience. They are loved beyond anything. But I know
there's a lot of people out there that are like that didn't, get the right support from their parents. Luckily, she met me, and
I met him when I was 16 years old.
I had good support from both my parents, and my parents were divorced, and we kind of grew up in a time where your parents being divorced really wasn't, it was common, but it wasn't like, it was still a little bit of a surprise, like, oh,
you come from a broken home?
Yeah. Yeah, but then as I got into high school, you learn more and more there's actually more people with divorced parents, so it was separated parents, so it was slowly becoming a more common thing. But I still had love and support from them, albeit sometimes misguided, but
but all parents have that. All parents are a little misguided. I'm sure I'm not perfect. I'm sure you're not perfect with these guys. I have my issues. You have your issues. I have to lock myself away whenever I start getting down on myself so that they don't see anything, which is extremely tough because they do know. They know that I have my issues, and it confuses our oldest one because she doesn't understand. Well, Mommy, you're telling me to do this. Why don't you do this? And it's just like, because I'm programmed differently from you and I want you to be better. I'm working on it. I need to rewire. That's all. It's not as easy as just snapping your fingers and changing what it is that you're anxious over. I know quite a few people who have had depression and anxiety, and it's not the same as my depression and anxiety.
And that's the interesting thing about it, too. one person's depression can vary and be so different from another person's.
Yeah.
Like, so there's some people who, there's a stigma with depression that, oh, they're depressed, so they're going to go and commit suicide. Well, that's not the case all the time, myself included. I do suffer from bouts of depression. I'm very up and down. I'll have a long period of being up for a while, but then I'll have just as long period of being depressed. Part of it, I don't really know why.
He was always the jock. He was always the kid who was everybody's friend and happy-go-lucky. And then you met me.
No. Well, yeah, but no.
You met me early enough that it developed on its own and just happened to appear that way.
In my adult life, I've had enough things kind of go wrong that it weighs on you. And some people, they bounce back from it no problem. But others, it weighs heavier. And the weight just got super heavy on me. But not once or ever have I ever had a thought of suicide or ending it all or
Whereas with me, it's the opposite.
I've had the thoughts of nobody cares about me kind of thing, so I'll just tell everybody to fuck off for the day, the week, whatever, right? But nothing to that extreme anyway, for me personally.
Yeah. Whereas with me, I have been on again, off. I've had an on again, off again relationship with suicide.
Yeah.
I fight my battles every day, and I promised my oldest that, Mommy's not going anywhere. I'm not leaving you. I'm going to stay with you. I'm not going to try to hurt myself. And I've stuck to that. And I actually have a tattoo where I used to hold a knife to my wrist. The only reason in which I'm here, in my personal opinion, although not everybody's going to believe the same things that I believe, is that my brother passed away when he was 10 years old. I was 11, just about 12 years old. And that's when I really began to become suicidal, because he was my only friend. And I'm not exaggerating in that. He was my only friend at that point. After he left, I didn't have anybody else who I felt cared about me. There was nobody who wanted to be around me, nobody who stuck with me, and how is it that the social worker put it, spiraled, but in a tornado, out of control, and wanted to hurt myself. Well, what's the point of me being alive if nobody cares about me? What I didn't know is that my brother, who was severely handicapped, you hear that? Yeah. Sorry, one of our kids is kind of snoring. But my brother wasn't able to communicate in the physical world. But my personal opinion and my personal belief is that he came to me after he died to stop me from committing suicide. He kept making me put the knife down, told me good things are coming, you just have to hold on. And he stayed with me and kept doing that until I met my husband.
Yay, me.
As soon as I met him, he was gone. He went away. He didn't come back. And that's hard. But he's my good thing. And he stuck around. And he is the one who gets me through any bouts of depression that I have, to where I tornado into suicidal thoughts. And I've had a few of them. My last bout was when the hours before our youngest was born, which I have quick labors. So he was born within 2 hours. So the night before he was born, I felt like an inconvenience to everybody. I felt like I was just a waste of space, and what's the point of me being alive? And that hurt me, because I knew that he was in my stomach, and if I did something to myself, he would be harmed too. So I sat on my hands and I waited for my husband to find me. Now, not everybody has the same thought process. Not everybody has the same, what's the word I'm looking for here? Symptoms? I guess that's what you can call it, because it is a disease, right?
By some medical professionals, yeah, they consider it a disease.
It's a disease of the brain. It's your brain's not working in the way that it's meant to work. Now, because of the way that my brain works, I'm very blunt, but I bury myself in books, so I research an awful lot. Hence the reason for the videos. Hence the reason for who I am, what it is that I do. I don't lie. I do my best to tell the truth. If I quote lie, it's because I don't know the truth, and I think that I do. Yeah. But I'm also the first person to admit when I'm wrong.
Like, we're not talking about, we just had Christmas, and the kid guesses what they got for Christmas. Well, of course you tell them.
I don't even tell them no. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you.
I guess that's the point, where most of us are just like, no, it's Bluebird, or something, anything but what the gift is.
The closest I came to lying was wrapping one of his gifts in an iPad box.
Yeah, but that's just for fun. No,
I didn't tell him it was an iPad.
That's right.
I get around it with my words.
But I tell you, anybody out there who's looking for a woman, look for a woman who does not lie.
And does not want to be lied to.
Yeah.
Truthfully does not want to be lied to. I'm okay with him telling me that my ass looks big in a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Or that I look fat, because I want to look my best. And I know he's not saying it in a rude way.
Well, exactly. And that's the other half of it, too, is, I'm not an asshole and be like, oh, yeah, your fucking ass looks huge. Go fucking change. No, it's more like, yeah, those do make you look big. Or, no, that outfit's not working today. You might want to try something else.
Yeah.
And not just, yeah, you're a fucking bitch. You're badass,
No, you do that and you're in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly. But it comes from, if you come from a place of true honesty and sincerity, you shouldn't have to lie to the person. I shouldn't have to lie to her. Yeah, sure, there's times I want to spare her feelings in hard times and difficult times, but what's that going to do in the end? Is either going to make the problem worse, or mistrust, and everything's hunky dory and everything is. Well, newsflash,
it's not.
Life sucks.
Life's hard. But it's worth it, and that's the main thing. You have to find out what it is that you find is worth it, and you got to stick with it. Right. And that's with anybody with depression. Look for somebody who says that they care, and put them to the test. Like,
well,
not in a bad way. If they say call me anytime, put them to the test. Call them call them all the time. Like, not all the time. Call them when you need them.
Exactly.
And if they truly are there for you, then they will answer. If they're not, then they won't be there. Or they'll get mad at you, and then they're not the people who are meant to be there.
What she's saying is, put them to the test, is that definitely, yes, when you need them, call them. Because we know somebody who puts people to the test, but they're doing it for their own selfish gain.
Don't sit there and make a pity party about it.
Exactly.
Not by any means. But if you need the help, get the help. If you could survive on your own, then, work through it. But if you need, it's kind of like AA, I guess. If you're about to pick up that drink, you have to call your sponsor. So use them as your sponsor, your depression sponsor. That's actually like what my husband is to me. And, if I have a hard time, he's the one that I talk to. But not everybody has that luxury. Sometimes, like in my early life, I didn't have anybody that I could talk to. There was quite literally nobody. My parents weren't there for me. I was actually called stupid for telling them, hey, I've wanted to kill myself quite a few times, and, I think I need some help. Why are you stupid and doing that? That doesn't help. None of that helps. The negative that you're putting out there to people who are asking for help, that's not helping. Go for a place of love. It's just like, no, don't do that because, you mean the world to me. And it would really suck to not have you in my life.
On the other side, there's also where the person, you tell them, I've killed myself and I need some help. Well, then they kind of go off the deep end and they'll call the psychiatrist or
they'll get you committed
anywhere. Not necessarily committed, but they'll go and they'll book an appointment for you that you didn't consent to or had no idea, and you get that, they give you that call 24 hours, say, yeah, hi, Mr. So-and-so, we have
an appointment set up for you for tomorrow.
I didn't book that appointment.
I didn't book any appointment. No, you never ever do that. Be there for the person. Do what it is that they need you to do in that moment, I think.
Yeah. And it sometimes it's just holding their hands down and telling them it's okay.
Hugging them. Just listening to them. Don't talk. Don't say a word. Just listen to what it is that they need to say.
Yeah.
My symptoms are, personally, I end up spiraling, thinking that everybody hates me, thinking that I'm going to die alone, thinking that nobody in this world is actually here to stay with me. Nobody wants to stay with me. Nobody wants anything to do with me. And my husband's lying to me and doesn't really want to be here. In which case, I've given him a note several times and he hasn't gone anywhere. So I know that that's not real.
Yeah. And, it's tough when you're sitting there holding them and they're crying and being a wreck and thinking that you're going to leave them that moment, that in that specific moment, you're just going to be like, yep, fuck this, I'm out, and you're sitting there and telling them, no, I'm not going anywhere. I love you too much. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'll be here in the morning. But when someone is that far gone, they don't hear that. You could tell them over and over, and it's a good thing, and eventually it does.
It's the logical side versus the emotional side.
Right?
Your emotional side is taken over, not your logical side. I know he's not going anywhere, but that doesn't stop the spiraling and the thinking that he's going to leave me because I'm crazy. Basically.
We're all a little crazy, though.
I know, but I'm more so than you.
Yeah.
But anxiety as well, it's like, for me, they go hand in hand. They're weaved together. They're like a basket. I'm a basket case and they're the strips. One's vertical, one's horizontal,
Well, I find with anxiety, usually what happens is that you get in that situation, you have that high anxiety attack, and then you get depressed about it because.
But even in that high attack, I'm depressed. That's what she means by tornadoing, right? It's all of a sudden there's the anxiety. Oh crap, there's the depression. Oh crap, there's more anxiety because of the depression. Oh crap, there's more depression because of the anxiety, and it just keeps going over and over and over and looping.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets really annoying. Those of us who have depression and anxiety don't want it.
Yeah.
They do not want it. I do not want to sit here and wonder if my kids are going to run away from me as soon as they turn 18 and never want to see me again. That's tough.
Well, we know a couple of them might, but that's just because that's who they are. And it's not so much that they want to run away from us.
One of them is just going to go skydiving without a parachute and learn to fly on the way down.
and here's the stupid thing about this kid is that he would go skydiving without the parachute, and somehow he will have figured out how to build his parachute on the way down and survive it. This kid blows my mind.
The other one, I'm sure she thinks I'm nuts, but she also knows that she's nuts too. She's got some of my quirks. So we tend to get along, but also butt heads.
A lot.
It's either one or the other. There is no in between.
Yeah.
If there is an in-between, it's because they're playing video games.
Yeah, that's about it. The other kid's going to be living at home till he's 40, so...
45, minimum. I might die while he's still living here.
Yeah.
And the other one's just a baby, so we don't know what his personality is.
It's a little undecided on that one, yeah.
But no, my anxiety tends to make me depressed. And, one of the big things with anxiety is the whole heaviness that you feel afterwards, the tiredness. Your body just gets drained, and it's not fun. Like, I could sleep for a week after having an anxiety attack.
Yeah, me too.
And it's not fun. It's not what it is that I want. I don't want my kids to have to see me like that. It's like all of a sudden mommy goes from anxiety to mommy can't do anything with me anymore. And that's not fair to them. It's not.
And one of the stupid things about anxiety is that you could go to a place that you've gone to 100 times. 100 times, gone there, no problem, no nothing.
Like the movies and us.
And then, like we used to go to the movies quite a bit. And, we still try to go, but kids make that difficult. Pregnancies make that difficult. But nonetheless, we used to go to the movies a fair bit, and then just kind of out of the blue, I would start having an anxiety attack. I'd start feeling closed in and
sweating
everything
and
just kind of coming in around me.
Shaking.
There was one movie we actually had to leave because it was so bad. Mm-hmm. And, I know I'm okay. I know I'm in a safe place.
He's in a safe place, and luckily that's where we kind of, we got lucky finding each other, I think, because I can help pull him through it, and he can help pull me through it, and, we work as a team in every aspect. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has that, and they're looking for that in somebody. They're looking for somebody to help pull them through. In which case, comedy. I find comedy is a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you're able to get me laughing, which helps make it feel better. And I'm able to get you laughing, even if you really don't want to.
Well, having someone that can show you the funny side of it kind of makes it not seem so big.
Yeah. It makes your world not seem like it's itty bitty, but with a whole bunch of mass to it, and big atmosphere that's coming down on top of you. And it's weird. It really is weird to feel, and not something that I think anybody really wants. And if they do, they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But the key thing with that is, do not self-diagnose yourself. If you feel that you have depression, if you feel like that you might have anxiety or any other mental health issues, go see a professional. Because it seems to be like the favorite thing to do now is, I've got depression, I've got anxiety.
Take a little test on Google or Facebook or, whatever. Pick your favorite social media that has
it's bigger than
one of those tests on. And,
I've been diagnosed, you've been diagnosed, I've been diagnosed with a psychiatrist, you've been diagnosed with a family doctor. Yeah. In which case, she won't send you to the psychiatrist for some strange reason.
That's a whole nother
Our doctor isn't the greatest. Wonderful woman, but not the greatest.
But nonetheless, if you do take one of those tests on social media or whatever, then maybe go have a conversation with your doctor and get diagnosed. If you really, truly feel that way, like, oh my God, I have this thing. And then, because what we've noticed happened, and I haven't noticed it so much lately as in the last 6 months or so, but last year and so on, as more awareness came out about depression and anxiety,
all of a sudden
kind of started to
had
be
it.
Like this cool thing that you had it, and it was more common amongst teenagers,
And I'm not saying that teenagers don't have depression or anxiety. That's not it at all. What we're saying is, well, if you're over the age of 25, looking back at your teenage self, how dramatic were you?
Yeah, really. Like we know somebody very close to us who has both that depression, anxiety, also some PTSD thrown in there. Not only my wife, she has it too, but this person, she had
we'll
it.
Get into why for that
she's and we've seen her grow and go through this, and she went through a teenager. She's a young adult now, but in that stage of it's cool to have this. We've had conversations with her where she's like, yeah, my friend or so and so, said that they have it, and she just looks at him like, you have no idea. And that's the reality. They read some symptoms on Wikipedia or whatever and go,
it's not sadness. People keep saying that depression is sadness. It's not sadness. It's, you could feel that sadness day to day. You can have it several times. Mm-hmm. Depression is deeper than that. It really is.
Well, look at what happened recently with the lead singer of Linkin Park. Can't remember his last name. I believe his first name was Chester.
I don't have my phone. I can't look it up for you.
I can't remember his last name offhand. But anyway, but go and look at the interviews with his wife and family and that, and they have pictures and video of like, yeah, we were just like, this was the night before he died. He was laughing and seemingly having a good time and not upset at all.
Yeah.
My
go-to is to giggle.
Know, right? Exactly.
If I am feeling nervous, if I'm feeling scared, I giggle, I laugh, I make fun of myself, I put myself down, but
that's why if you go back to the beginning of this podcast,
yeah, I giggle a lot.
You'll start hearing the giggles because she was a little nervous and getting worked up. But
even before we started, I was already starting, because I am an extremely shy individual. I'm so shy because of the way that my past was. I am so shy, and like, say hi to me, I'd run crying, and I've come a long way since then.
I take big part of that.
Yeah, he's a big credit for that when he forced me out there, which was fabulous. But it's not about just being sad all the time. It's, you could be happy and you could just end up going off the deep end.
Yeah. Well,
not just crying, not just feeling sad, but just like going a little crazy.
Yeah, going back to Chester there was an interview he did where he's talking with it was like a radio host or something. You can find it on YouTube. But they mentioned like, well, you struggle with depression and that, and but and I believe, I can't remember exactly, but like, asked him, is that where some of your songs come from, that feeling that way? And he's like, probably, yeah, admittedly, because that's what a lot of musicians, when they write music, they write what they're feeling.
That's where my poems came from.
Yeah, exactly. They write from what they're feeling, But he also said, what the problem is that, yeah, I'm a celebrity and I could be surrounded by thousands of people, or hundreds of people, and yet be okay for that few moments. But then when I go home at night and I'm by myself, it's me and I'm inside my head. Like what you see on the outside is completely different from what you see going on in my mind.
When you're entertaining somebody else, you're distracting your mind, but as soon as you get home, you start going over in your head, like, what could I have done differently? I'm sure a lot of people understand this, because a lot of people end up feeling this way.
Well, it's a whole, someone comes out and goes, haha, you're a fucking bitch, you blah 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 blah, and you freeze up and you don't have that comeback.
And then 2 weeks later,
you're sitting back and be like, oh, you know what I should have said?
Yeah, if only I would have done this, if only I would have done that. Except for when it comes to depression and anxiety, it's, you think about all the things that you could have done to change all of the bad that has happened in your life. Yeah. All the things that you regret, all of the things that, me being abused. We had what we call the Children's Aid Society. It's Child Protective Services. We've had that in our lives. And it's like, wow, I could have said something to them. I could have said something to my teachers. And my computer just shut down. Not shut down. You're still here. But there we go. Cool. Note to self, play with the mouse every now and then. Or, turn that off to where that doesn't do that anymore. But, you go over in your head, it's like, I could have talked to my teacher, I could have talked to the principal, I could have talked to, anybody. But with me, myself, my mother was our lunchroom supervisor, so it was a little bit harder to win people over because they're very, very good at faking it. Like, so much so, the Children's Aid Society was out of our lives. And we were still being abused in one form or another. My father did get help. He wasn't as angry in the sense of, like, totally beating us. But he was still mentally, emotionally, and he was still physically abusive. Yeah. It just wasn't...
He would still throw a temper
throws a temper tantrum.
For an adult, but it moved less to against her and her sister to... Well...
It was still towards us. I stepped in the way more so and learned to physically stand up to him as much as I could. My sister is handicapped. My brother was handicapped. I'm, quote, the only normal person out of us.
Yeah, we still don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. But to hold all the secrets of what has happened to us because you're afraid of being harmed and you know that he's capable of that harm. That's the tough thing. I know of a secret that could end up being the death of someone, and only because I told somebody else, and I'm expected to hold that secret, because if not, I myself feel like I would be responsible for the death of the other person. Even though I know it's not my fault. I wasn't there. I wasn't responsible for that happening.
Yeah, you had nothing.
But it's baggage that now I carry. And then to find out that the same thing that happened in that incident could have happened to me. That's a big tough one for me. So I have to hold all of that baggage on top of the whole airplane worth of baggage that I've already got. So it's a tough one. And that's where my environmental comes in, as in a 7-car pileup, 8-car pileup. I don't remember at this point. It was back in 2011?
12.
Yeah, no, 2011. Quite sure it's 2011.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. The date was the 12th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. See? Listen to your wife.
So 7 years ago. Almost 8 years ago now. So I don't remember exactly how many cars, but I know that it was at least 7. Mm-hmm. But that's very traumatic for me. Now I have anxiety attacks in the car whenever somebody's being stupid. So please, drive safe out there. I'm begging. Somebody like me might need you to.
Just look twice.
Yeah.
Look twice and use your signals.
And don't pull out in front of people. And certainly don't go fast on snowy roads.
Yeah.
That's a big one, please. I'm begging. But, I know quite a few people who have had depression and anxiety. My husband has them. I have them. The young lady that we were talking about, she has it. And
a very, very good friend of mine, one I've known since I was in diapers. She has it, and she's on a better path now, but
she went the way in which I could have went.
Some people think suicide's the worst thing that a person can do. I've seen
Well, suicide you can't come back from. I think that's why. But
well, yeah, and granted, yeah, it's a loss of life, but at the same time, in I'm not saying go out there and do it, obviously, but
go get help.
Go get help.
Go get help either way.
There is a piece to. Okay, let me put it to you this way. My grandmother is in the hospital right now, and she's not coming home. We know that. And
it would be nice.
She's just it would be great, but she's very sick and she has a lot of health problems. You know, nothing to do with anxiety and depression. Well, actually, sort of.
She does have anxiety now.
Now, she didn't get it until much later in her life.
Until
she's
she
never
was
had
on
it
oxygen
until then. Yeah. But you know, but she's kind of at this point in her life that, well, she's at the end of life like most older people are. But if she does pass away in the next very short term, there's peace in it because she won't be hurting. She won't be
sick anymore.
Yeah.
She won't be in pain. She won't have that fear in her eyes.
And that's the point I was trying to make there. But as I was saying, though, you know, yeah, there's that peace in it. But I've also seen what working your way through it can do, and that can wreak havoc on you.
It can. It can wreak havoc on your body. It can wreak havoc
I've seen it, you know, and it's not a pleasant thing, you know,
no.
And it got to a point where I had to walk away for a while because I couldn't handle it anymore.
He already had to deal with me.
Yeah, I had enough on my plate. You know, but I came back into this person's life, and you know, now she's all the better. And you know, sometimes when you're trying to help somebody, I've learned too that sometimes you're just not the person.
No, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. And if you're not the person to get through to them at that point, then what good are you? You're not any good to them.
You may have to step away, but, you know, try to maybe find someone to help them, you know. And
help them on their journey if you can.
Yeah, help them if you can, but sometimes you just can't. And
helping them might be finding somebody else who they could talk to, finding somebody else who they could deal with. I've seen things, I've dealt with things, I've had to, you know, I've had one person who wanted to go and shoot up a store because they weren't listening to him and he was feeling depressed. He's like, well, maybe that's the way I'll get out. Well, no, I couldn't stand around and just let that happen. I had to do something. I had to, you know, talk him through it and tell him, like, no, you can't do that. You're going to get hurt. Or, well, of course you're going to get hurt. But, you know, you're going to cause pain to somebody else who has no control over the situation. And that's not fair to them. It's not fair to their family. And, you know, talk them out of that. Luckily, I hope I did. But I don't know for sure. I know that they're still alive, so that's a plus. They haven't shot up anywhere, so
yeah, we
that's
haven't heard
plus.
anything about mass shootings here, so that's good.
So yay, there's that. But I've also, like, one of the other things that I have PTSD over is I've seen a man jump from a building. I've seen him land diagonal from my car, inches away from a bus stop. And that is not something that I wish upon anybody. He couldn't get help. His doctors were laughing at him. And that's not right. Some people's depression comes from experiences in which they've had to deal with growing up or later on in their lives. Some people, it's just a chemical imbalance in their brain, and, you know, that helps out with just giving them the proper medication. Some people, they don't want to hurt the people around them anymore. So they feel like that the only way that they can save the people around them is by doing the unthinkable.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, he couldn't be saved.
Yeah.
I really hate this part because I feel like I know his mother now. I found her after he passed away. And I feel like I'm constantly hurting her by telling this story, and I really, really hope that that's not the case. But I don't like to hurt people. But he fell from the building. I didn't know it was a person at first. My brain didn't comprehend it, didn't want to comprehend it. It had enough trauma. It didn't want any more.
Your brain went into protective mode.
Yeah. So at first I seen a giant bird falling from the sky. And it's like, wow, that's a really big bird. No.
he wasn't a small man either.
And I'm not saying that he was like a fat man, but he's tall. He's not small.
He had some bulk to him, not fat, but just girth.
You know, he hit the ground, and it took a couple seconds for my brain to register, oh, that's not a bird. And, you know, I don't think I've ever told her that part. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. But, you know, as I said, I'm a very honest person, so meeting her, she asked me, you know, about his last minutes. Well, he must have been unconscious. No, he wasn't unconscious. He must have died right away. No, he didn't die right away. Well, he had to have, not felt any pain. Yeah, you could tell in his face that he was in pain. And I hate that I have verbal diarrhea, and I hate that I say the truth without thinking about it. Because I know, me personally, I wouldn't want to think that my kid was in pain if he ever took his own life. I'd want him to be okay, and, you know, him be at peace and not tortured in the last few moments.
But again, that's what we want to hear. We always want to hear that hunky dory, everything's
like he's okay
and whatever.
You know,
wherever he is now,
and
wherever
he
he
is
is now, he's at peace. And you know, it's unfortunate, but those he left behind, you know, are left to pick up the pieces and move on.
And unfortunately, when you die by suicide in that way, it's not just your family who has to pick up the pieces. Mm-hmm. I went into full mental breakdown after that whole incident and completely lost myself for quite a little while after that. Mm. My only solace was finding his mother and being able to talk to her and ask, basically why would he have done something like this. And with him, it was drugs, but not the illegal kind.
Yeah, prescription.
His doctor prescribed him drugs that now we know they knew, but we did not as a society. We didn't know that they were bad for you in the sense of they create more pain while they're taking away pain. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds really weird to say, but they actually cause nerve damage you're taking them.
It's kind of like back in the olden days where they used to use, formaldehyde, mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
That's, you know,
as a syphilis.
They'd say, here, take this shot of mercury. Well, mercury in high enough doses can kill you, and if you take it in small doses over a long enough period of time, it still kills you.
Yeah.
But yet, it will cure the other thing that ails you, and that's
kind of like radiation, really.
Yeah.
You use it to kill cancer cells, but in all reality, you're killing your cells. It's more than just the cancer cells that are dying.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't just attack the cancer cells, it attacks all your cells, and that's why some people on the radiation lose their hair, because it attacks those.
It's radiation.
Yeah.
It's one of the symptoms of it. But no, this gentleman, his name was Chad. She said that I could use his name. I've already told her that I'm going to be creating a video and I want to include him in it. But he was in a car accident, and I could be wrong on all of this because I haven't gotten any more information back from her. I'm just remembering from 14 years ago. So it's quite a little while ago. But he jumped off the building basically because he was addicted to painkillers after a car accident, and the doctors weren't willing to help him get off of them. And personally, I think that the doctor is somebody who should be charged with malpractice, because it doesn't matter. You do your best to help them out. You don't just laugh at them and, turn them away. That's not something that you should do.
And the thing is, too, with the painkillers he was on, there was and is a different way.
Yeah.
There is a different pill or, narcotic
a different
or whatever.
Way. Yeah, a different medicine
there's
of
a
some
different
sort.
medicine that would work just as well and not do as much damage. And, I've had some conversations with pharmacists and that, and they said the funny thing about pain medication, it's really only good for short term.
Especially that kind.
But if you do need it, for a longer period, the thing is that if you take your pain meds and it takes away the pain entirely,
you've got too much.
You've got too much, or you've taken too much.
But your body also becomes immune to it, which builds up a resistance, which makes you want to and need more. And, it just increases the dose, and that could lead to liver failure. It can leave, unfortunately, the same pills his father was on, and he died shortly before of liver failure. So, both of them have the pills. Both of them got the same thing. He got his depression because he wanted to, he didn't want to be that way for his wife or his mother or his siblings. He wanted to be normal again, and they pretty much told him that was never going to happen. And now that's where a huge majority of my PTSD comes in, because now I have a hard time going downtown, because that's where he jumped. And we just recently, last year before,
spring.
The same incident, not the same situation, the same setup, but without the same outcome in the sense. When he jumped, there was a basketball tournament downtown. They had to shut down some of the downtown, and I got detoured, and the same thing happened either this last year or the year before. One of the two.
Spring.
Was it this spring?
Yeah.
And I ended up full meltdown, hyperventilating, losing my shit, just crying and climbing the walls, and scared that, another person's going to fall in front of me. And I don't think I could handle that.
And again, that started that tornado effect, right?
My depression, because it's why am I feeling this way? But at the same time, the anxiety. So it's just emphasizing the anxiety that I already had. Mm-hmm. And it's not a fun thing to have to deal with. And I couldn't imagine somebody who had even more severe PTSD than me.
Yeah, right? And that's the thing too, right? I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and talk about our experiences and whatnot.
But I can't speak for anybody else.
But exactly, at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone out there who has it worse than us, or me as an individual, or you, if you're listening to this.
Everybody's chemical makeup is completely different. So unfortunately, that means everybody's experience to certain situations is different.
I'm sure someone out there listening could be like, "Oh fuck, that's nothing," and you know what?
You're absolutely right.
From your perspective, you're right. You're 100% right. But then there's someone else listening that goes, "Oh, I had no idea."
And I'm hoping that that's kind of what this does. We know some people who have depression and anxiety. They know me, but they don't understand it. And they're just like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you this way? And that's what I kind of wanted to do this for. I'm not trying to be Miss Know-It-All with everything that I know. I'm not trying to be a snob. I'm not trying to be anything like that, which is what I've been told I am. And, as a woman, I talk too much. But that's my nervousness coming out. I get nervous, I start talking, I start giggling, I start,
But it's not...
It's my way to deal with situations.
One thing that those people don't understand, too, about her is that when she's doing that, she speaks from a factual point of view.
Because
it's
I've researched.
Things that she's researched, looked up, actually knows for a fact. And
if I don't know for a fact, I'll state that.
And I don't know if you remember back at the beginning, we also said that she's very truthful and doesn't lie. You really, really want to test somebody's friendship? Be brutally honest with them. And if they can't handle it, they may not be the person. At first, it was a little like, whoa. Like
it's intense.
It's intense. It really is. But
get down to the bare bones, find out why it is that the person is that way, like me.
Yeah, exactly.
And you might actually find that the person underneath it all is just a scared little person who just, that was my go-to. That was my way to hide from reality. Yeah. So I research. But, I have to know because people around me ask me constantly, and so I research.
Yeah, and it's funny because when they, some of these same people, when they need help for something, they come to her and ask for her help, right? Oh, you know how to do this, and they expect her to know the answer, but then in a moment of anxiety, and she starts talking about something else, and it's like blah 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 blah, and they get pissy.
You don't know anything. Like why are you Miss Know-It-all? And it's just like because that's what I do.
But you come to me when you need help. You're awesome. But nonetheless,
no comment.
Again, the point I was trying to make about testing, people with the truth, being brutally honest with them. The thing with that is that they have to be able to be brutally honest with you back, and that's a hard thing. But
that's a really hard thing I've noticed. People who are like, I'm brutally honest too, and then you're brutally honest with them, and you like bruise their ego.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes it very tough to actually open up to those.
But the people that can work through that and become, more than that, like I tell her all the time that her being honest and me being brutally honest with her and other people around in my life, it's made me a better person. Not from the sake of, I'm better than whoever.
I'm better than you, so you gotta listen to me.
No, a better person at my core, a better human being.
It's more understanding of other people and who they are. Yeah. And we're coming up to an hour already.
Holy
crap.
We better close this out, then.
But basically, when it comes to people with anxiety and depression and PTSD and any or other disorders, schizophrenia, manic depressive, OCD, those people don't have control over those situations. As much as we think that they do, they don't. You can't sit there and say that you love somebody unconditionally and then put conditions on it.
Yeah.
Because that goes to tell you that you don't love them. And if you don't love them, what are you doing in their life? You're just going to make them feel like shit later on. I tell people, I am fiercely loyal. The moment that you reach that part of me, there is no conditions. You could fuck me 3 ways from Sunday and I'll still be there when you need me to, so long as you do so out of respect.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I wouldn't say fuck you over, but because you have your breaking point.
I still love them. Yeah, and I have my breaking point, but I still love them. Like, there are people in my life that, I have volatile relationships with. And unfortunately, that does include my parents. I tend to spiral as soon as we get into a conversation with them. But I am fiercely loyal when it comes to my family. And I will help them out when they need it, for the most part, when it's something serious. But when it comes to Joe Schmo, who has fucked me over 5 times before I've let the walls down, then you don't get the second chance. You don't get the third chance. Like, I'm pretty, like, everybody has a good heart somewhere in there, no matter how much of an asshole they are. But
generally, a lot of the people that are angry, pissed off, and just bad people, as you'd put
negative
people, nobody starts out that way.
No, nobody does.
It's a pile of things,
and I give people the benefit of the doubt for the most part, but unfortunately sometimes that doesn't really help out the situation.
Limits, right? It does have its
As I said,
limits.
I love my parents, I love my family, but for my health, I can't be around them very much.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do, then that depression is going to get even more, and I can't eventually, kill myself for them. It's not fair to my kids. It's not fair. So I put my love and my positive energy into my kids and leave the negative situations, the things that make me tornado, things that make me spiral into depression. I make that go away, because as much as I love them, as much as I'd be there for them, they are not healthy for me. They can't help me. They're not good for me. It's like chocolate. I guess no chocolate they even say is good for you, eh? Sour Patch Kids. They're delicious, but
too many of them
gives you a stomach ache. Too many of them makes you fat. Too many of them makes you sick. And I can't do that to myself. And that's going to cause lots and lots of fun when this comes out.
But, I mean, that goes for kind of
any
anyone,
situation.
Though. Somebody's being negative around you, or, if somebody's being negative around you, sometimes you can just be like, hey, what's going on with you? You're
a little off.
You're being negative. Like, what's going on? And then they talk it out, and then they feel better, and then you can carry on. Some people, it doesn't matter. They'll talk to you about it, absolutely.
But they'll still suck the life out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you have depression and anxiety, those are not fun things to mix in with it.
And you just have to go, nope, I can't do this. I can't.
No.
And it's a hard thing, especially when it comes to some people. Like, some people you feel you're really close with. But sometimes the best thing you can do is separate yourself from them.
Yeah, and, I'm going to say this to anybody out there who has been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or anything like that. Or if you anybody, really, it doesn't even matter if you have that. If there is somebody in your life that makes you feel like shit, it doesn't matter how close you are to them. It doesn't matter they could be your parent, they could be your twin. Separate yourself from that person, because it's what's going to help you get through life. My favorite way of looking at it is, I think maybe it's just because I'm a loony, or I think I'm a loony, but I'm the only person that I know to truly exist. Everybody else could just be a figment of my imagination as I sit in the loony bin, as I sit in the mental ward. I could just be making up this entire universe in my head. So why would I allow something that could just be a figment of my imagination to have that much control over me? To sit there and make me feel bad because I'm not in their life? No, you're not good for me. You need to go away. That's the cat. His nose is clogged up. But I know, we gotta end this now. We're now at an hour and 5 minutes, but
hey,
there's
if
not
you're still
much editing.
Listening, awesome.
Thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, because I'm gonna post it there as well, give a like and subscribe and wait for the next episode. And I promise I'll try not to flake. My computer is not the greatest.
Yeah, and
so I can't edit videos.
We have small children.
We have 4 kids.
Getting them all to sleep and able to do this on a regular basis is challenging.
But we're going to really work towards it every chance that we get. I don't know how podcasting works, so this is my first episode. Welcome. Thank you for sharing it and popping my cherry.
Now.
But thank you for experiencing it with us. And I don't know if we can do descriptions or, you subscribe if you can.
Yeah, great.
Stick around.
Awesome.
Link or, bookmark me. I don't know how it works, but I'm going to find out in a few days at least.
We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, we're outsies. We don't have an outro yet. Help us think of one. All right, thank you for sticking around. Bye.